Wednesday in Tryon, North Carolina. We're continuing our series on selecting someone in leadership. Certainly took the scriptures from selecting a spiritual leader and then tried to apply them to political leaders, which didn't match up very well. And nevertheless, we have been looking at hot button issues and saying that it's important to know what your candidate stands for and what the platform of their party is and how they would approach some of these hot button issues. And depending on where you are in life and what your economic situation is, I'm sure opinions will vary greatly. And today we're going to look at one of those very, very controversial ones, and that is healthcare. We know that Obamacare went into place. Nobody knows for sure what it has cost us or what it has saved us. And probably we'll never know that. There are just too many variables on all of that. But the question then comes down to reform and whether or not reform is needed, how badly is it needed, and then how do we apply health care. The disadvantages, of course, are the cause for higher premiums. There's provisions in there that appear to ration certain types of care, especially for the elderly, major social Medicare cuts for the senior citizens, and certainly there are 54% of Americans that today still say they don't want Obamacare. The scripture verse is found in Matthew 22, verses 36 through 47, which is the great commandment, which will probably be used quite often. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your mind and all your soul, and your neighbor as yourself. And certainly we want those that need medical care to be taken care of, whether they be black, white, yellow, green, whether or not they're rich or whether they're poor, whether they're young or whether they're old. Everybody deserves medical care. How you pay for it is a whole different ballgame. And whether you pay for the care of illegal aliens in the United States, as is currently very often the case. And so it's very important to take a look what the party platforms are about this and whether they sidestep some of those issues. There's no question that medical costs were going out of sight. And there's no question that there was gross abuses of Medicare, Medicaid, and other health programs. My opinion happens to be that we'd have been better off to go after the corruption within the system and cut medical costs that way, and therefore could afford to give it to more people. But my fear is that by expanding medical, we have created more opportunities for the drug companies, the doctors, the hospitals, and for insurance companies to take advantage of the system and continue with exaggerated costs for the average American. So we look at this again, is anybody talking about going after the corruption in the system and getting at least the gross corruption in the system and the cost of giving medical care to illegal aliens that are in the United States when they're not paying any taxes, and whether or not we're going to force people at the federal level, at the state level, to local level to buy health insurance and then be fined if they don't buy health insurance, forcing people to make that choice. Do I pay for my health insurance or do I buy food? Do I avoid even paying or filing taxes if there's a chance that that's going to force me to be fined for not buying medical insurance? These are just a few of the many issues that go with this. And I guess my training from ITT is really paying off in my own life, and that is you look at things on an ABC basis. Those things that are only 3% of the items represent more than 50% of the dollars. The next 17% of the items represent another 35%, or 85% is covered in just 20% of the items. I believe we need to start fixing problems on that basis. We need to look at the ones that have the most corruption. We need to look at the ones that have the greatest negative impact on our economy and our society. And we need to go after those with gusto. And some of these minor issues about whether a transgender person can use a men's room or a ladies' room, to me, are very insignificant alongside of some of the other issues that our country is dealing with. That's my thought for the day. And I know that not everybody's going to agree with me on a lot of these issues, but at least it'll give you some food for thought as to what you think is right, and then where your party stands, where your candidate stands, and how you ought to vote. That's your thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.